Hello, hello, hello. Anybody here? Come on. Welcome to my stream. It's Cheryl. Is anybody here? I'm here. Hello. Hello, hello. I'm here. Anybody coming into chat? I've come to talk about my life. Hello, hello. I decided to come online and talk about my life, and it hasn't been easy the last few years. I'm 61. I'm living alone in a city in part of Vancouver, and I've been here a long while. Uh, Basically, I wanted to address some things about my life, and part of what happened was the boundaries. And what happens when we don't use boundaries with ourselves and our families and our counterparts? Well, I was married for 16 years. I was in a relationship with a male for another 8 years after that. And then I decided, well, you know what? I'm going to take a break from relationships and take care of me. And that's what I've been doing. I've been watching about the Gabby file, the gal that's been missing. I've been watching about the whole mask and not mask issue develop. Um, and it's outrageous that the nurses are not stepping up to take up a vaccine, from my perspective. I don't, I welcome people to come online, go into the chat and say hello and things like that. Um, it's a beautiful day in BC, Canada today. It's sunny and beautiful. Um, I'm just waiting for people to come online and say hello and maybe, pull out an issue and talk about it. So what have you got to say? And the other part is that I want to talk about is Sarah. I'll show you a picture of Sarah. This is Sarah and Casey. Sarah and Casey had died August 3rd, 2020, and they had died a very tragic death. They had been building a cabin up in Tilleman, BC, and they had decided to build this cabin over the last 3 years. And I wasn't really invited to go up there to see it because they had their own private lives, and that was like their thing to go and do. And I don't think they really invited my ex-husband on the scene either. They had their own private life and decided to have it. I'm told the day that she had died, she went water skiing, had some broken ribs, and went into the shack with Casey. And then later on, she had died with Casey. It only took them 8 minutes of breathing this carbon monoxide poisoning, and she had died. And I've been grappling with how to talk about it. I've been grappling with how to even express how I feel. From my point of view, after her death, I just don't believe in accidents anymore. I think everything is written on the wall, and God provides everything for you. He provides the good and the bad and the ugly. And I've tried to encourage Sarah to have a good life, to have, be able to have a house one day, to be able to have her own life. She and I talked about maybe me being the grandmother of her children. With the prospect of me living in the basement somewhere and helping her raise her children. Whether the kids either were there or not, we don't know. I don't know what her plan was. The fact that Sarah had decided to get a loan for a car because she had gone through at least 3 different other cars prior to the car that she bought, had died on highways or had mechanical problems, and she had just had enough. And I had told her, look, you need to have reliable transportation if you're going to be driving out in the wilderness. And having had experience myself on cars breaking down in different parts of British Columbia, I know what that's like. And I can tell you a story. One time I was driving up in BC. We had been living in an area called Upper Fraser, BC, which is a very small town in British Columbia. And he was wanting to work on the van that I had bought for us. And this reminds me so much of, today, what's happening in today's world. Anyway, the van was having problems, so he decided to fix it. He got a truck rental from an unknown, I can't say the company name, it's been so long, but people who know the area know when a wreck is a wreck. And so I drive halfway through the town to get into Prince George to go and get this car parts for the van, and I run out of gas. And I can't figure out, well, why in the world am I out of gas? Because the second tank shows that it's full. And it turns out that they had cut off the other tank, but by the time we found that out, it was like what had happened was that I was stopped. I was unable to move. I get out of the truck, and the insurance guy comes up and talks to me. The guy who had sold us life insurance. So he drove me to the place. I get in there and explain that the truck had died, and he's cursing me out because I'm from a certain area. So. And I said, look, you can't talk to me like that. Just because I'm from a certain area, you can't behave like that to me. And so he backs down a little bit, and we go and fix the problem. And the mechanic at the truck says that the truck has been cut off, and the gas tank has been cut off. So it's like, well, yeah, this is the way I'm being treated. And I didn't deserve that, the way I was treated. So we went to another rental company, got a car, no problem. And the car had decided to, well, not exactly the car. The car and I were driving the groceries home the next day, and I get onto black ice and do end up doing a 360, and the car ends up in the ditch. And I'm pregnant with my daughter, who's now 36 at the time. So this is going back 36 years ago. And it's an old situation, but these things do happen in real time, right? They do happen today. And so, and I can laugh at it now, but at the time it was very upsetting to find myself in this car, uh, you know, half knee deep in this ditch. And I get out of the car and uh, I'd taken off two wheels off of the rental. So I get back to the rental, explain what happened. And so they say, well, okay, well, that's fine. And I ran into these different situations with this gentleman, and I ended up having a beautiful daughter, and she's wonderful. She's a mother herself now, so things had worked out for the way that they should be. I went on years later. I had decided to become a nurse after having two other children, and decided to become a nurse. And that was a struggle to get into that. I found that people were not happy with me having to be a nurse. Um, and so that didn't work out. Uh, and then finally, I decided to have a relationship with another person who happened to be married, and that didn't quite work out either. Maybe I'm just not fit to be with relationships. Um, Nobody deserves to have this whole thing about the stinking thinking. And I've been battling with that for most of all my life. Trying not to take the put downs and the cheers and the gags all of my life. And maybe this is my form of confession about what I've done for myself. And, I don't drink, I don't do drugs. The only thing I do is smoke cigarettes and drink coffee and watch YouTube. And I find that a lot of people have created a lot of strength and courage trying to do the things that they do on online. There there are people who are fascinating and do wonderful, wonderful work, and you try and boost up the American soul as it's going through some of the things that they have gone through. I look at the courage in the Canadian soul about what Canadians are trying to do for themselves, and there's a lot of courage out there. There's people who are really, really strong, determined to do what they want to do. Um, I am hearing impaired. I do have some disabilities. Um, my uh, my strongest is my ability to be able to talk. My weakest is my math. And for all intent and purposes, I had tried to amplify the whole idea about, make money and, get a house and all this stuff. And didn't work out. I ended up in this apartment. Sarah, my daughter, who had died before her death, she had tried to encourage me to write, encourage me to do all kinds of things. And I didn't go public with it because I didn't want for her to be ashamed of me and for my other daughters to be ashamed of me. And, oh, her mom, she's got to do this, The fact is that, I had to. I had to go online and I had to talk about my life. I had to talk about Sarah. I had to talk about those things because Sarah mattered to me. She was um, the help that I needed at the time. and she helped me find this place. Prior to that, I had a trailer. It's an RV, and it died in the highway all the time. And my kids would look at me saying, "Well, Mom, is that really what you want to do? Is travel around in this broken down RV?" Well, okay, well, maybe not. And Sarah finally decided enough is enough, and for me to get a parking stall over at an RV up in Pass Mission by Harrison Hot Springs, and I stayed there for almost 8 months. And it was interesting there to go and sit by the lake and to watch seals cross from one side of the lake to the other. Um, yeah, it was. I've seen some incredibly beautiful things. I was on a boat with this friend of mine, and he had decided to use his own boat to drive across from Vancouver Island into Vancouver, into Richmond, and uh, it was beautiful to see all the rocks and the waters, the way that the ferries go, sort of thing, and to see all these little fish and seals and in the ocean. That day didn't see any orca, but another day we did see some orca. So I have been privileged to see some orca, to see the whales. Um, oh, come on! Isn't anybody gonna come and see me? Yeah? No? Well, okay. So okay. So um, I wanted to touch on this whole thing about my relationship with David. Um, David was an old family friend of ours, and he and his wife were friends with my ex-husband and I for a number of years. And one of the ways that he used to get a hold of us was through Sarah. And he got a hold of me through Sarah. So I phoned them back, and it turned out that his wife had Alzheimer's. And yeah, Dave, I'm going there. So what happened was he invited me to come and see Gailey. I used to call her Gailey. That's not a real name. Uh, it was a nickname because I couldn't say her name. But at any rate, um, so I went to go and see her, and it turns out that she had Alzheimer's. And we're sitting around the table. We're discussing some of the things that she's tried to do for herself. And apparently, that I was one of the ones that she used to talk about with her family members about some of the memories that she had about me. So it was decided that I was to come and help her and to come and move into their house and try and help the situation and help improve things, right? Well, after the first couple of months, there seemed to be some other problems in the house. There was an alcohol problem. There was a drug problem. And people were really, really angry with her about her having her disease. And I would try and make some changes to help improve the situation, try and keep her away from the interaction with them as much as I could, so she's not getting the brunt of the anger. And because she didn't deserve it, it wasn't her fault that she came down with this problem. And that didn't really work out too well. And eventually it was decided that she needed to go into a home. So to get her prepared for it, we had decided the doctors had recommended that she do some daycare. And we tried the daycare for I think about 3 or 4 months. And then she was transferred over into another facility. And Gailey became quite angry with me, uh, but she couldn't live in that kind of circumstance about being hated on for having a disease and for being tormented for who and what she was in that moment, in those years. And it was a difficult reaction to watch, but at the same time, it's not much different than what my mother had gone through with her brain tumors. Um, on one side, you love them for being who they are, and the other side, there's this disease for which they have no control over, and they've changed. And uh, it becomes problematic for some families to be able to function and deal with. And um, the only way that I had dealt with it was with love, with care, with understanding that my friend had gone through a lot and she deserved some peace. And I started getting her to color on some paper in the kitchen. And she stood there for hours you know, trying to draw. So finally, one day, I had asked her, uh, Gailey, what happened? What's going on for you? And she said, burdens, that she had lots of burdens. And she had the burden of having this disease. She had this burden of trying to raise two kids when she, didn't know, and she didn't want to know. She didn't want to find out whether she had Alzheimer's or not. She didn't want to um, bring on more torment for the family. At the same time, she just wanted to live her life. And as hard of a choice that was for her, it made it harder on the family as well. And uh, because they have to live with that choice. That's the whole thing about choices, is that when you make them, other people uh, are affected by them. And uh, they was directly affected by her choices, and he was quite upset with her. And I think in his heart he had forgiven her, but at the same time he had not, because he had decided to drink and do drugs, and he hated himself, and very, very hard on himself and others around him. Um, and it's no different than what my father had gone through. And he had loved and was tormented by my mother, who ended up with 4 brain tumors and lung cancer. Uh, and as much as I tried to help her going through what she went through with the 4 brain tumors and lung cancer, um, it didn't stop him from going to the grocery store and getting hit on. And my father had married twice after, and had moved on. After going through 8 years with Dave and his ups and downs, I just didn't have enough in me to stay, so I decided to leave because he wasn't interested in having a commitment, and so I decided to move on. And I decided to sell my condo and to make sure that the boundaries were in place, and that, hey, I'm not being screwed around with anymore. I'm creating this boundary, and this is what I'm doing. I created a lot of flack for that. People say, well, no, you can get to be a normal human being, get a job, and da 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 da. But the situations that I was living with was not normal. And so I decided to go ahead and travel, and went to Australia for 3 months. And that was the best thing I could do. I rolled around in Australia, and it was some of the lands were flat, and I saw ostrich, what's it called? Uh, Lots of kangaroos. It was interesting. I didn't have enough film. I didn't have the they were so quick that didn't have enough time to pick up my phone or camera to take a picture. But there was this family of 5 kangaroos crossing the highway, and they were just gorgeous. And I had decided to drive on, and got way up to where the guy from the Dingaroo guy from the Australian movie, Crocodile Dundee, and drove all the way up to where the cabin was, where the bar was, and I had seen so much, and went into the store to go and get some water. Not that I really needed it, but I decided to, oh, geez, if I'm out this far, I should get an extra bottle. And it was like $11 per liter of water. $11. It's like that was a lot to charge. So I bought it anyway, and drove on. And I had met people in Australia, um, and they were wonderful up there. They had decided to have a caravan life, and to they travel in little caravans sometimes, and sometimes they're on their own, and they meet up in different camping spots and things like that. It would seem like a wonderful life to be able to travel around, meet your friends, and go and do whatever you do. And people seem pretty free to be able to do that. And I rented a little juicy van, and Renee was my daughter, had gotten her university degree and went to Australia with her partner, and decided to go live in Australia. And so I used her as a base so I could go out and travel and then come back, sort of thing. And okay, well, this is the story. So what happened was I decided to go out to way up to Adelaide, and drove all the way out there, which is like close to 4,000 miles, and driven all the way back. And that took the span of 3 weeks. But in that span of 3 weeks was packed with seeing kangaroos, with seeing all this kind of life. And it was terrific to be able to see that, some of that. And part of what I want to say about all this is that what David had given me was a life of travel, was the ability to go in different spots of the world, to go and see different things. We went to Venezuela one year, and we had decided to rent a catamaran, and we had decided to go and take some supplies to different parts of the world for children, so they'd have some supplies, and be able to, try and boost some of the people so they can, see a future. And, obviously that gave them the taste of having something better. And some of these kids had never seen a camera before, had never seen people the boat before, perhaps. But I think at some point they had turned around and said to themselves, well, hey, if we're being told that we can have better, well, why don't we go out and get better for ourselves? And I think that's part of the reason why people had done what they'd done in the past. Had left Mexico and gone to the United States for a better life, etc. All this stuff. I wait for you to come on board and say hello. Please like and share if you can. And if you have anything to say or questions, I've been talking like the last half hour. So please like and share and say something. if you can. Uh, but part of the reason why we had done that was to show that there is something a bit better out there for them, so that they can have something more and better. And maybe it was um, an elitist move to do that, but at the same time, uh, it wasn't, because they don't have what he had. And I'm not saying that that's better, because he was trapped in his own mind about his own life. And he decided to go ahead and marry somebody else anyways. And that's going to be fine. And what I have now is my picture book. I forgot to show you. So these are some of the pictures I've drawn. This one is about my daughter. Oh, here it is. This one is about my daughter. She used to plant trees. So I had drawn a picture about her planting trees. This one is about her being in the mountains and climbing the mountains. About the oil stacks and the oil business. Peeling on onion layers and peeling layers of a life. I don't know if you can see that. About the three kings. I don't know if you can see that. But part of what kept me sane, or not so much sane, is the drawing. And Ballet BC, but the Nutcracker Show. Well, about the oil industry. Here's one. You'll like this one. Oh well. This one is about the oil industry. And this one says, hi, I'm a Larry, and hanging onto the oil industry. Hi, I'm Jack, and I'm working for Larry. Hi, I'm the 5-year-old boy in Flint, and what about my future? You know, dived into that vein. Is anybody on there? Hello? And don't leave me alone to chat by myself. But that's my daughter planting trees. Anybody there? Hello? Hello? But anyway, as far as the nurse situation is concerned, Sarah had decided to study for being a nurse. She was a nurse for several years, and she had trained in BC. She trained up in the north and in the lower mainland about becoming a nurse. She became an acute care nurse and had decided to, be involved in her own community with her partner and his family. And Sarah had been the glue that held the family together. She held the family, my family, and me, and Casey had done the same for his family, and having held the family together for him. And it's a tragic loss that they're gone. And I think that knowing Sarah, she would have gone for the vaccine and to help her community to stay well. She had decided to get the vaccine for cancer as well. And so she wasn't against trying these vaccines out. And she wanted me to have my vaccine, so I went and had it. And had both of them. And I'm grateful for that. A part of what that nurses training does do, as many of you know, is to teach about hand washing and taking good care of your hands and moisturizing them after all the hand washing and that. And part of what nursing is self-care and about, keeping things relatively clean and tidy so that patients can have some sort of sense of sensibility where they are. So because they're not well themselves, so that you can at least present something that they can, have some safety in their own homes or in their own place or in the hospital room where they are, or the ward where they are. And that's part of what it does. And although the hospitals do have their own problems, that doesn't mean that you stop providing that for them. And I give my hat off to a lot of these nurses who are working today. They work very hard and they do a good job. And although I think that going on strike and going against the whole idea about striking at the hospitals is maybe not the way to go, because it introduces this whole dysfunction about what's dignified for being at a hospital. When my ex-husband and I were going through the divorce, when I was going through the training, Sarah knew all that. She saw what we had gone through, and she herself had experienced some of that when we were going through her education with her. And she would call me once in a while and say, so and so has been bothering me and all this. Like, okay, well, you have to ignore your dad and you have to ignore these other people who are saying these things and just push yourself forward and go ahead and do it, because that's going to be your saving grace, right? And she had done that, so I'm really strongly, she was very strong. And I think that she would want to try and tell other nurses to be as strong as you can, to try and have that backbone and say, no, you guys can't treat me badly this way. Just because I've had this shot or I have these vaccines in me doesn't make me a bad person. I'm trying to do the things that are right, and you can agree to, you disagree to the cows come home, but the fact that I've had these vaccines does make me capable of being able to have a passport and to travel if I once again if I would choose to, even around BC. Say if I want to go to a restaurant, you got to show your passport or show that you've had the tickets to be able to have it and to be able to dine even. It's really sad that it's come down to that, but that's the way it is for now. And I really think that it's been very difficult for the nurses to be able to go through all of that. And it just goes back to setting the boundary about how you want to be in your life. And there's nothing wrong with boundaries. Nothing is wrong with saying, this is what I'm doing, this is who I'm going to help and take care of, and this is the way it's going to be done. And if people don't agree with that, that's going to be okay. They're going to go and do what they do. But when it starts affecting others around them, then you're going to run into troubles. And the fact that there has to be some kind of line. Hello, Steve. The fact that there has to be some kind of line in the healthcare industry, I think is a good point, because then what happens is that there is better care and better attention for patients. So, Steve, welcome to my little corner, to place in the world. Well, what do you want to talk about today? Was there something you wanted to talk about, or I don't mean to put you on the spot, but welcome here. I'm just talking about parts of my life and things like that, about what I've been through. Just to update people. I was just explaining about my daughter who had died a couple years ago. Actually, not a couple years ago. Been August 3rd, 2020 when she died. And she became a nurse, and I was talking about the nursing industry. And basically, what it amounts to is that she became a nurse. Oh, well, thank you. She had died of a carbon monoxide poisoning back in 2020. She was a nurse for a very short time, and she had been in Tullaman, BC, with her boyfriend. And essentially, what happened was she and her boyfriend had made a part of a shack as part of a house that they were going to build. And there was a leak in the machine, and they both died. And I was talking about the nursing industry, and Sarah was a proponent of vaccines, and had taken other types of vaccines, and all throughout her life, and that's the way that she would have wanted it, and that's her stance. And I think she would have been on the side of still trying to work. In a very tight situation there. But there's something you want to talk about, Steve? Please. Hello? Anyway, well, thank you for your commiserate. It's been a tough year, but we're getting through this. Keep up your chat. Okay. Steve says, hanging in there, love is out there for all, and I understand about laws. I lost my father and some family members, so I understand what you're coming from, and you're awesome. Keep your chat up. Well, thanks, Steve. Yeah, my my mother had 4 brain tumors. I've been through everything. My mother had 4 brain tumors and lung cancer. My dad had died in 2017 of bowel cancer. Mom died in 96. Prior to that, her brother had bone cancer for almost 20 years and gone through a lot with him. And they are the ones that brought me to the healthcare industry. And because of what they had lived through, and it was part of the reason why Sarah had come into the health industry as well. Her grandmother on my husband's side had diabetes, and she knew about that. So there's lots of health issues over the course of my life, and how and it's basically about love, as you say, and it's about how you respond to them. And and having, but there's nothing wrong with also having some boundaries on their behalf. And that's part of what we have to do is to have the love and the boundaries to help keep them safe. And I think that's part of what the healthcare providers do for their patients, is to provide the love, the concern, and the attention for patients, because they're the ones that are at risk for all this. They're the ones that have the COVID. Oh, well, Steve says, well, have a nice day. It was great talking to you. I have to go because I'm moving out of my house. I just thought to jump in and say hello for a moment and take care. God bless. Well, good luck with your move, Steve, and thanks for stopping in, and we'll talk soon. Thank you for stopping in. I appreciate it. Like, share, and subscribe. You have a good day. Good luck with your move. Thank you. But thanks for stopping in. As far as the healthcare industry is concerned, I think it's going to go through a lot of changes. And I think from here on out, though, what's going to happen is that, or what potentially could happen, is that the way that the education is being done for nurses will change, I think. And when I went through the nursing course, it was a 9-month course for not for acute care, but for elderly care, what some people would call it. It's for resident care programs. And essentially, it was a 9-month course for. Thank you, Steve. You have a good day. Thanks for dropping in. I will. Thank you. You have a good day. Good luck with your move. Basically, what happens in the healthcare industry is that when you apply for these courses, you learn that they are some months at a time where you do all these courses. You have 9 months, 18 months, maybe 1 year courses, depending on the length of the courses, etc. That you do these courses, and you sign up for these courses. You put out a significant amount of money for these courses. The course that I was signing up for, or had signed up for, was for 9 months, and it was $8,000. So at the same time, the ex-husband had decided that he was going to sign up for a loan, and sign up for a loan at the same time as having this grant and this loan. And the industry had told me, look, you can't do that. You can't allow that to happen. And so I had eventually told my ex-husband, I said, look, I can't do both. And I can't do it all. And at this particular juncture, and I think the nursing is far more important at this point. So he had decided to not be very happy with me, and decided to get mad, and which started to fuel a divorce. And it was pretty hard to do courses and have a divorce. So that's part of what happened with me. And when Sarah took up the torch to go ahead and do nursing, she found the same circumstances in a different place. And, um, I just wondered if that was in part played up to where she ended up. And there are no real answers about that because people are calling it an accident. And I think that everything's written out in the wall. Uh, you know, and I can't turn back time. Anyway, did anybody else around out there? Are you going to stop in, say hello? Hello, hello. Thanks for coming in, Steve. Let me grab my sweater. Well, is anybody out there? Is anybody out there? Hello, hello. And yes, I'm smoking. Part of the reason why I'm smoking, it's like, oh, it's me. Oh well. No, part of the thing is that I haven't been able to quit smoking. But anyway, anybody out there? What I'm hoping to do is to create this radio show, about, once a week, and it'll be done on Thursdays at 10 o'clock, and it'll be a weekly experience. And I think that it's going to be a great thing to do. And I'm willing to debate with the most of you, and you are willing to debate me, and it's going to be good. I've also been hanging out at Status Quo. Status Quo is a news show down in the States, and they provide a news service. I haven't exactly been happy with the big corporate news cycles and things like that. So I've been trying to do other types of news and things like that. So it's been good that way. You learn from all kinds of different perspectives, and there's nothing wrong with that. These Fun Adventures. I should check out Steve's site, so I should. Okay, so what would you guys like me to draw? If you're in the chat, I can more than welcome to draw something. Hello, hello. Is anybody out there? Hello. I'm on my own. Oh, part of what I do for myself to help distract myself from some of the problems that I've had in my life is to draw, and I love to draw. And it's interesting the fact that when my dad died, he didn't appreciate my artwork. It's like, well, okay, so he didn't appreciate it. I'm still going to draw anyway. He doesn't have to. Nobody has to really like the drawing. It helped keep me sane when I was going through all the tumultuous times in my life. So that's part of what I did. It's part of how I got by, is to draw. A part of what I also did was to also smoke, but did it change anything? Mm, no, not really. Did the drawing change anything? No, not really. It didn't really change anybody. Did it? If I had, wrote a poem, did that really change them? No, it didn't do anything for them. And you know what? It helped me. It wasn't about helping others. It was then about helping myself. It's about having a boundary thing. Well, no, I'm allowed to. You guys do whatever you want. I'm going to do my stuff. You know, and that's just going to be okay. So is anybody in the chat room? No. Click those like buttons. Click the like button. Hello, hello. Anyway, I think what I'm going to do is, since nobody's around at the moment, I'm going to be online next Thursday at 10 o'clock in the morning PST, and we're going to do this again. And we're going to do it once a week, and sooner or later, people are going to click in and say hello, and we're going to have all kinds of discussions about just about anything under the sun, sort of thing. And I think it's a good idea to start, being able to express myself and being able to say how things go. And you guys have a great day. Talk to you soon. It's been an hour online. You guys take care. And we'll see you next week. Bye for now.